So today we will be discussing contemporary approaches to measuring and managing performance. I hope all you all can see the screen. I think you can remember we discussed traditional or the financial way of measuring performance. We discussed three indicators or three measurements. Those were return on investment, ROI, or OA, return on assets. Both are same, return on investment and return on assets. Then we discussed the residual income, the concept of residual income. Then we discussed the EVA, economic value added. And also we discussed the shareholder value from the shareholder's perspective. So those are the measurements what we discussed under performance measurement based on traditional way of looking at measuring performance. Now when you in general what you have to understand, human being, we use human being to get our things done. Human beings means us. We people use human resources or human resource to get our things done, maybe official, maybe unofficial. Even at home, you use the human resource. Even you go to your business, your organization, your office. So you see that people are working and people are really doing certain activities. Even you go to temple, same thing. So you will realize that we need to manage, we need to control the employees. So controlling employees is very important wherever you go. Even prison, hospital, you have to control the patient, you have to control the prisoners. Even you go to mental hospital, you have to control them. When you go to a factory, your business or your office, if you are a supervisor or manager or CEO, you have to manage your people, you have to control. So how do you control people? That is the issue. Now you will realize to control the people, you need power. Go to a hospital, doctor has the power, nurse has the power. By using their technical know-how, knowledge, they are controlling the patients. Doctor, of course, has the capacity of knowledge about diagnosing. Nurse knows how to read doctor's prescription and how to deliver, how to vaccinate, how to give medicines, how to care about patients. All these technical knowledge with regard to the day-to-day operation matters with nurses and others of the staff, right? And you see that in hospital, how the layout of the hospital. So layout of the hospital is, if you go to a ward, I'm talking about the public hospital where you have many number of patients, not like private hospital. Their layout is open space. Doctor can see at any time full ward. That's called surveillance. So that layout also itself creating a power, helping doctors to control the patient. Even you go to, I think, prison, same structure, not the open, but the layout is in such a way officials can really observe prisoners' movement. So what I want to communicate to you is that wherever you go, you have to manage, you have to control the people. For that, you need the power. So coming back to our title, Contemporary Approaches to Measuring and Managing Performance. Again, when you go to our factory, our office, our service-oriented organization, or my business, you have to control your employees. The question is how you are going to control. So you have to show the power. You have to get their behavior visible. You have to make the behavior of their visible. So how do you do it? Basically, what you do is you are doing it by measuring performance. You can't, otherwise you can't control them. So thereby, whatever the performance criteria, whether it is contemporary or traditional, whatever the circular you issue, whatever the bylaws you have inside the organization, the corporate plan, and your layout also in a way help you to control your employees. Surveillance. Not only controlling, but you are continuously monitoring them and identifying the deviations. So what I want to communicate to you is that uh, measuring performance, both managing an organization, what we are trying to do is we are trying to control, we are trying to monitor, we are trying to direct our employees according to our desire, our directions, according to company objectives, according to owner's objective, according to branch objectives. So the simple meaning of performance measurement is you are trying to control. We are trying to discipline the employees. That's the purpose of measuring performance, even though it is traditional, even though it is uh, contemporary. I hope you got the idea. The real meaning, real idea behind this performance measurement is controlling, managing employees, managing human being, governing human being, or I would say discipline, making disciplines our employees. We use performance measurements. When targets are given to sales rep, when targets are given to credit managers, when targets are given to deposit, whatever the people who are working in banks in relation to deposits, all these targets, of course, a way of controlling people. So then, when you give the targets, employees know what to do. So you can coordinate your employees, and ultimately what you can do is you can measure the actual results and compare. Of course, the good results may will get reward, bad results will be discussed, why you were unable to achieve the targets, what kind of benefits we need, facilities we need from our organization, what kind of trainings are required for the employees to get the targets. So those kind of continuous improvement inside the organization will take place by measuring performance. Okay, in this with this background, what we do is we are going to discuss the contemporary approaches to measuring and managing performance. You know the meaning of contemporary, the recent, new. We have the outline, the purpose of performance measurement, conventional performance measurements, of course, we have discussed, contemporary performance measurements, non-financial measures for operational controls. We can talk about the operational controls, strategic performance measurement system. You can talk about the strategic level performance measurement system, or the strategic strategies to measure performance. Does financial performance lead to non-financial performance lead to financial performance? So when you develop non-financial indicators, will that lead to financial performance? Then of course benchmarking, warning signs of inadequate performance measurement system when actual performance are not enough with our targets or the strategic level expectations. So there is a corrective action for us to take. Corrective actions may be, bringing new technology, training new employees, promoting employees, demoting employees, giving incentives, etc. Designing an effective performance system and system. So those are the areas what we are going to discuss in this lecture or the today's session. The purpose of measuring performance. So, uh, it's a kind of communicate the strategy and plans of business and aligns employees' goal. So, measuring performance will enable us to, communicate our strategies and plans. Maybe we will at the sales representative meeting we will declare we will give the sales target for each employee in this month. So thereby what happens is that sales targets will link to the strategy and the business plan. Maybe market share, maybe cost leadership strategy, whatever the strategy. So of course, when you try to measure the performance, what happens is you talk about strategy and plans. You communicate. So thereby, in a way, when you say communicate, so you can discuss the communication, the strategy plans from different perspectives. In a way, you communicate your strategy. So thereby, you are passing what is being expected from your employees, and what kind of plans you have to implement, and what are the goals to be achieved. So those are the communicate. When you communicate those matters, indirectly what happens is you are coordinating. You are coordinating your employees. You are coordinating different group of employees. You are coordinating different branches, different divisions. So thereby, measuring performance will help you to coordinate your different units, branches, departments, and also it will facilitate for you to coordinate, integrate the employees. So thereby, it ensures the goal congruence. Without measuring performance, we can't go, we can't direct all our employees into one direction. So that is the first point. The second one is allow managers to track their own performance against targets and take corrective action. Of course, indeed, each individual knows what is being expected from them. They have their target. Each individual means, in the case, each department may be, a team may be. So team knows their target, department branch knows their target, individual knows their target. Then of course, we are governing. You see, by giving this kind of targets and measuring performance, what we are trying to is we are governing our employees. We are controlling. We are making them disciplined. The employees. Okay, so evaluate subordinate performance and provide rewards. So you can evaluate your subordinates by comparing with your maybe KPI, your targets, your aims, maybe plans. So you evaluate your subordinates. Here the subordinates may be even your branch, what you operate. So thereby you can provide rewards for them to motivate. So thereby, performance measurement system or the measuring performance will contribute to really motivate people by giving rewards those who perform well. Then guide senior managers in developing future plan and strategies and operations. So thereby, when you have measurements, you can remodify, you can increase, you can develop new strategies, because when you implement certain level of plans at operational or strategic level, you may learn from that plan. So by learning that will next will lead what happen is next is to improve your strategy operations. So thereby it will have a future direction also. So thereby, what I want to communicate to you is that when you take performance, of course, it is one side is a communication tool, performance measurement. You can consider it as a communication tool. You can you can you can look it as a corrective action or monitoring tool. When you take these two, of course, you can consider it as a motivation tool. It has rewarding tools, evaluate subordinate performance and provide rewards, motivation tool, and also it is a mechanism for top management, senior managers to learn and remodify or readjust or recast their future strategies and operations. So those are the, I would say, characteristic of performance, functions of performance, purposes of performance. See here, the heading is purposes, but you can consider it as functions also. Right. Now, secondly, what we do is we discuss problem with conventional financial performance measurements. I think you can remember the conventional financial performance measurements. Conventional financial performance measurements, they are not actionable. They are not actionable. What do you mean actionable? The actionable in the sense, when you take the profit, when you take the residual income, when you take the return on assets, when you take the economic value addition or value add, all these financial measurements, of course, what you calculated. Profit is not natural. Profit is a kind of, baby that you constructed, that you calculated. So thereby ROI is also a measurement you calculated. It's not actionable. It doesn't say anything else. They are not actionable. That's the one problem of conventional performance measurements. Not actionable. Just figures, just calculations, just measurements by using this financial terms. Then financial measures emphasize only one perspective. You are trying to measure the performance by using rupees and cents. That is, financial measures emphasize only one perspective. So you just look at the rupees and cents perspective. What can be quantified in rupees as income? What can be quantified as expenses in rupees? Expenses. So you have the income, you have the expenses, you have the investment, you have the assets, you have the liabilities, equity. So all these things are measured in terms of rupee value or the monetary value. Then next one is financial performance measures provide limited guidance for future actions. So as I told you at the beginning, it's not actionable. So thereby, it doesn't provide a clear picture about what to do in future. They encourage action which decrease both shareholders and customer value. When there is an decrease in shareholder value and customer value, of course, we may we encourage actions which decrease both shareholder and customer value. Because always we are trying to get the maximum profit and to get our target in financial terms. So thereby, ultimately, shareholder and the customer may get suffer. Okay, contemporary performance measurement system include non-financial and financial measures, have a strategic orientation, directly measures areas that provide competitive advantage. Here, strategic orientation means you are always trying to be better than competitors. That is competitive advantage. You are trying to prove in the market, in the business, in the industry that you are performing well when compared with the competitors, when compared with the competitive organizations. So other people are not going to copy you. That's the idea. Other people are not going to copy you. Okay. Then use external benchmark, which is much more important. External benchmark means you go outside and try to develop your own targets, not focus on uh, not focus on internal matters. අර අපි කියන්නේ ලිඳේ ඉන්න ගෙම්බ වගේ කියලා. That is internal focus. You are on in the well. So thereby you are you are also like a frog. frog. So use external benchmark means you go out from the well, you go out from the industry, you go out from the organization and look at what others are doing. And you will try to reach that others level, not inside. So thereby it's a good thing if we benchmark by looking at use external benchmark. In this COVID situation, we did the benchmark. අපි කතා කරා how China has done, how America has done, how Australia has done, how Singapore has done. So that means we are trying to benchmark with others, external sources, and we compare our things with those external benchmark indicators. Next one, emphasis continuous improvement. So contemporary performance measurement system, of course, they can include financial, non-financial, and financial. Of course, it is strategic oriented, use external benchmark, and emphasis on continuous monitoring. Continuous monitoring means surveillance. That is, you make things visible and you monitor each and every day. So that's the idea. You are trying to improve the efficiency. That's the meaning of continuous improvement. So again, contemporary performance measurement system include both what they call you include both and have strategic orientation and use external benchmark and emphasize continuous improvement. Right. Non-financial measures for operational control. What we did was so far, we discussed with you the the importance of purposes of financial measurement. Then we discussed the weaknesses of financial performance. Then we discussed the characteristic of non-financial measurements. Now we are discussing non-financial measures for operational level. Operational level means day-to-day level. Non-financial measures reflect the drivers of future financial performance. So thereby, when you increase, when you enhance, when you develop the operational level performance, obviously your financial performance will be increased. Suppose you are giving a good customer service. If you are giving a good customer service, it's a non-financial area, but your profit would be, sales would be much more. Financial performance would be better than those who provide low customer service. Improvement will flow through the financial performance. More actionable, not like traditional conventional performance measurements, uh, the, the performance which are coming under the contemporary or non-financial measurements, of course, is to investigate the source of low performance and comparing to cost variance. So here, non-financial, what happened is you have the targets, you just have the actuals, you compare targets with actuals and you identify the variance. That is a very good, very important point. You may be having, target may be to have number of customers 20, and you will end up with number of customers you brought into the organization 10. So thereby there is a 10 number of customers variation which is expressed in existing sales or the budget figure of the company. Non-financial measures reflect drivers of future financial performance. That of course I discussed. Then next one, more actionable. We have to remember that profit figure is non-actionable, but here the figure is actionable. More understandable and easier to relate to particular at the operational level. So thereby normal people can understand it for the operational level. If you put more technical words, more technical way of measuring performance, like profit before tax, profit after tax, profit before investment tax, something like that. When you incorporate more technical words for the uh, this particular, so you will be facing difficulties. More understandable, right? Then non-financial measures for operational controls. Yes, non-financial measures for operational control. So one area would be customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction. We are trying to measure the customers. So customer satisfaction is more important. Measured by survey administered to the customers. Now this particular term, when you talk the customer, in normally traditionally we talk about citizens. We talk about citizens. Now with this neoliberalism concept, neoliberalism concept means free market will does everything. Government intervention is minimal, low tax, low welfare, and but everything is competition, and we are trying to make individual as entrepreneurs, as business people. That's the meaning of neoliberalism. In the neoliberalism, you have to remember the word citizens, the concept called citizens, transform into a customer. The citizens, the name citizens in the neoliberalism context, transform into an economic agent. We all now has become, economic agents. We select choice from alternatives. That means we have choices. When we select, of course, that we have to be economic agents. We have to evaluate. So thereby, even now, public sector, we don't have citizens, we have customers. Even public sector organization, no longer citizen stories there because of neoliberalism. We have customers. But of course, private sector, they have used this word earlier from capitalism onwards. Anyway, customer satisfaction measured by survey administered to customers. So what we do is we are measuring customers. We may give 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, likewise, and we get the cumulative. The customer feedback is linked to a software system, so you can count the number of customer complaints, how customers being satisfied, how customers are making, credit source or the credit worthy statements. What is the number? But remember, you may have the customer boxes, but I don't think those boxes will work. Boxes are there but not open. But when you open a survey system to the customers and use IT and get data to the central server, of course you can analyze the data. By analyzing data, the top management can say, okay, Maharagama branch is not performing well. Maharagama and Kandy branch, these two branches are performing very bad with regard to customer satisfaction. On the other hand, Kotte branch, Anuradhapura branch is doing very well. They are giving a very good customer satisfaction to them. So that's why by using this kind of customer satisfaction, what we can do is, we can categorize. We can categorize whether our customer group satisfied or not, whether our branch is satisfying customer or not. So likewise, customer satisfaction survey will facilitate for you to, measure based on by using IT system and integrated system. Okay. Then direct measures, measurements of fault in product that occur during the manufacturing process and support a high quality strategy. So other thing is, what you can do is, you can look at the quality throughout your process. You can measure the quality at various stages. Maybe process 1, cutting division, maybe process 2, sewing division, maybe process 3, assembly division, maybe process 4, ironing division, maybe process 5, packing division. So at all these stages, what you can do is, you can detect the performance, not only the financial, but even other, other ways. You know that even we purchase, international brands, it is our duty to monitor the defects, whether products are good or bad. For example, customer warranty periods, likewise. Okay. Then quality, periodic inspection of testing of products. So you can find out get the ultimate products. You can talk about the quality. I think you can remember the gas season story. Gas item, gas cylinder, the domestic gas cylinder not having obtained the SLS, the standards. They are just providing the cylinder as it is, the way they want. No standardization, no Sri Lanka standards, SLS. So thereby you have to measure the quality, not only the financial term, customer, direct measures, quality. Then also you can measure the productivity, the ratio of output produced per unit of output, number of unit produced divided by number of direct labor hours. Labor productivity, number of unit produced. So how many units you produce inside your factory, and number of direct labor hours we really used. But the problem here is, when you have multiple products, you have to identify the product separately. For example, suppose service station. When you take a service station, you have the 2-3 type products. You may have the car wash You may have the service and full service. So thereby, when there are more than one product, what you have to do is you have to identify the direct labor for relevant product. So thereby you can calculate productivity ratios for each product that you produce or that you sell or that you make. Here the idea is to communicate that you take the number of units and divide by number of employees. For example, suppose your car wash business, uh, you uh, you washed 100 cars per day. You look at the data, and according to data, you know, for day we have washed 100 cars. And you can divide this 100 cars by number of employees. If there are 10 employees in the organization directly involved with car washing, so thereby your answer would be 100 rupees, 100 cars you washed, 100 cars that you washed, divide by 10 employees. So thereby answer is 10. Meaning is that one employee per day has washed 10 cars. That is the meaning. ආයතනයේ එක්කෙනෙක් දවසට කාර් 10ක් හොදනවා. Now suppose you have count that the so suppose this way you have count that employees can really say I'm taking the productivity data now. I'm just putting it. Suppose you have 100 cars and 10 employees. If you have 10 employees, what is the situation? Your productivity ratio is 10. Okay? Your productivity ratio is 10. With regard to the car wash. Not with regard to the total product, but with regard to the car wash. Okay? And you will see that you can compare this 10. You can interpret this with yesterday's car wash productivity. And you know, the month beginning or daily, you can compare. Okay? You can compare your productivity ratio with various past period or various organizations. That's so. But what I want to communicate to you is not that. Suppose they are working 8 hours. Employees are 8 hours working, and we know that there are 60 minutes in the 60 minutes per hour. I hope that you can understand what I am telling. දවසට පැය 8යි පැයට විනාඩි තියෙනවා 60ක් නේද? එතකොට විනාඩි 480ක් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් වැඩ කරනවා. අපි හිතමු ලන්ච් වෙලාව ඇර පැය 8ක් වැඩ කරනවා කියලා. ලන්ච් නැතුව without taking the break. එතකොට what I want to communicate to you is that one employee works 480 hours per day and supposed to wash a car. You only take 20 minutes. What you do? You have to divide it by 20. So thereby, if that is the case, one employee should wash 24 cars. You see how to interpret this ratio. According to work study, you read a work study and you know that normally a car to take to wash a car, it will take 20 minutes or say 30 minutes if you want. 30 minutes. So that is the good standard. That's the time taken to take to wash a car. But if that is the case, the capacity of this employee, capacity, this is the actual. You see that if you have these two data, you can control your employees, you can manage your employees, you can govern your employees, you can discipline your employees. Now we know that one employee, the capacity per day is 16 cars, but in our people, they have washed 10 cars. That means our employees' productivity level is low. They are idling. We have to understand they are idling. Maybe one reason maybe we don't have much businesses. Then what we have to do is we have to think about how to increase the productivity of employees. To increase the productivity of employees, one reason is reduce the number of employees. You had 10 employees in your organization, you may make 6 employees. Get it? Are you clear what I'm telling? Yes.
Yes, sir.
එතකොට what you can do? එතන අපේ මේක අනුව කාර් 10ක් හොදන්න අපිට අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ කොච්චරද කියලා සේවකයා අපිට තීරණය කරගන්න. නේද? උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් කාර් 100 නම් ආවේ අපිට 116න් බෙදුවාම එක්කෙනා කැපැසිටි එකකින් අපිට එම්ප්ලොයිස්ලා ගන්න එනවා. එතන කාර් හොදන ඩිවිෂන් එකට අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ ඇත්තටම සේවකයෝ ආසන්න වශයෙන් 6.25ක්. ඒ කියන්නේ සේවකයෝ 7ක්, සේවකයෝ 6ක් හිටියා නම් හොඳටම ඇති. But we have 10 employees now. So you got my point. So thereby we have to think about what we are going to do for these 4 employees additional. Are we going to send them home, early retirement, or are we going to create another new business, new product for them, or are we going to assign them to some other busy operation, busy product? So thereby, I think this productivity measurement is much more important with regard to the measuring non-financial performance. So I discussed with you few non-financial measures, customer satisfaction, defect measures, quality. That means the final product, the inspection, maybe guarantee, returns. All these measures the quality of your product, return, repair, etc. Then the productivity. Okay, we will come to this one now. Non-financial measures for operational control, of course. Then these are really, you have to remember, non-financial measures for operational control, customer satisfaction, defect measures, quality and productivity. Few more measurements we are going to discuss. Operational level, stock status. You calculate the stock status. Stock status much more important. What do you mean by stock status? So stock status will have different meanings. Stock status, but this is applicable for much more, not service oriented, but more inventory, where inventory available, manufacturing purposes, manufacturing setup. Suppose you had sales of 1,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees. Your stock is I'll take the other way. You have the stock of 365, or say that 400 stock, and you have 1,000 rupees sales or 10,000 sales. Okay, what we do is we divide the inventory or the stock by the sales and multiplied by 12. So that is the stock status. Or just to understand, just to make it meaningful, I will multiply it by 365. So you will see that number of days is, if you want this formula, I can just keep it. This is how we calculate it. Formula is, what is the formula? 400 stock, we divide by 10,000, right? Multiplied by 365 to get the dates, right? So what I will do is, when I enter this formula to the Excel sheet, the answer is, okay, 14.6 days. Meaning is that your particular stock is waiting 14 days. That is called waiting time. අපේ business එකට මේ බඩුව ගෙනෙල්ලා it will take 16 days to 14 days to sell. That is the stock status. That may be the characteristic of stock one, number one. You may have 1,000 of stocks in your business, right? So you may think about the item number two, production item number two. So that is also you can calculate. Of course, it is stock is 800 and sales is 9,000 and multiplied by 365. So what we do is we divide the stock by sales. Of course, there you see the, what do you call this, stock status ratio. Of course, 32 days, you see, waiting time. Waiting time is 32 days. Another product you can calculate, product number 3. Product number 3, you got the stock. Stock may be, you know, 10,000 or 12,000. Yes, 1,100 stock. Again, sales is 9,000. Okay, multiplied by 365 just to get the meaning, just to, you know, get the final data meaningful. එතකොට එතන අපිට එන උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් you get it, you know, there of course answer is 44 days waiting time. Right? So you may have the benchmark or you may have the industry data. It is normally 15 days. For this, it is you see 13 days. For this, of course, 5 days. You got my point? Now you know that other competitors, other people, same product, their stock status is they get the product or produce the product only 15 days waiting. This product only 13 days waiting. This product 5 days waiting. But in our business, product number 1 is lying with the industry data, no problem. We are a little bit better than the industry because they are 15 days, our 40. But if you look at item number 2, in our product, it stays with us 32 days. ඒ කියන්නේ විකුණන්න හදලා එහෙම නැත්නම් showroom එකට දාලා දවස් 32ක් තියෙනවා. But here normally our competitors they do it within 13 days. So thereby you will realize their stock status is not good for us. There may be a problem. Maybe this is a kind of out of product we are selling. We don't have the latest one. Latest product is little bit more, technologically updated. Our product is technology low graded, so thereby our product is not moving. Even though you have a good customer base, what happened now? Since your product is outdated, since it is 32 days, it says that your customers are not coming to yours. Your customers are going out. Here also same thing, 5 days, we keep it 44 days. Huge, dangerous stock status. I hope that you can understand what I'm telling. So stock status can be understood from different perspectives. We are trying to identify whether our stocks are fast moving or whether are they any slow moving item. But in certain product there are inventory waiting time is longer. You take a refrigerator, heavy investment items. Of course, they are in certain case their waiting time would be a little bit more. But if you produce for order, you are producing only for order, then of course you don't have any inventory. නේද? දැන් උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් අපේ ඔෆිස් වල කැන්ටින් වල කියන්නේ 10ට පෙර කෑම ඇනවුම් කරන්න කියලා. 10ට පෙර කෑම ඇනවුම් කරන්නයි කියලා කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ හදන්නේ only for order. So then you don't have stocks. Only you produce for the order. Some dumb bro production, certain people they produce only for order. Okay. Stock status, stock තියන ආයතන වල තමයි stock status කතා කරන්න ඕනේ. I think you got the point. Then accident reports. So a number of human number of accidents laborers or the factory employees faced. So you need to get the accident reports. You may categorize the accidents as minor, moderate, major, something like that. Then you define what is minor. You define what is moderate. You define what is major. So you will look at the accident reports and you will take corrective actions. Because if you want healthy people, if you want to keep your employees in your factory, attract people, I think this accident report will have an impact on managing your employees, governing your employees, disciplining your employees, keeping your employees, increasing the productivity of employees. So by accident report is much more important, especially for construction business, especially for industries which are really involved with manufacturing setups. For example, if you use heavy labor instead of robots. Of course, if you use robots for in your factory, I don't think that you will talk about the accident, but then you will talk about the breakdown, some other indicators, not the accidents. But if your business, if your product factory is labor intensive, of course this I think construction, the apartment constructions, whatever the construction business, I think accident report is much more important to manage their project. Okay. Then multi-skilling, number of employees who have attained skills to allow them to undertake a range of operational tasks. So the different skills may be soft skills, maybe speaking, maybe teamwork. So you want to measure. So multi-skills will be measured in terms of number of innovation. So we may ask a question, in your divisions, what are the innovations? What are the number of new products, new innovations introduced in the last year? If the answer is 0, you don't have more skills, something like that. So thereby, multi-skilling can be measured in terms of number of innovation, number of new products, etc. Then machine downs. Of course, this is much more important where you focus much more on technology. Thereby, IT oriented, technology oriented businesses, even service sector, machine downtime is important. We call sometimes system downtime. You can use the instead of machine downtime you can use the system downtime, whatever. But anyway, where technology is important, where technology is more intensive, I think this particular measurement is much more important with you. So you can measure the idle time, number of machines where you didn't work, number of repair time, different ways you can measure the machine downtime. Anyway, delivery on time. So promote delivery to customers is an important driver of customer value. So delivery on time means whether you are trying to measure whether we were able to deliver our service or product to the customer as we promised. Now for the airline service, you can measure whether we really uh, 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 we reach the destination uh, on time. Are there any departure and arrival delays? So you have to talk about that delivery time. Okay, right. DHL, they are talking about delivery time. So certain people, for certain businesses, this delivery on time, as promised, is crucial because your delivery important to the receiver because they are waiting to start their production. If there is a delay in your delivery, they will get stuck. So thereby, delivery on time is much more important. Where supply chain, where production driven manufacturing culture, production driven economy is there. For example, you take the rubber, you get the eel from the rubber, and then you take the production to the factory, you produce rubber sheets. From rubber sheets, you produce slippers. From the slippers producers, the exporter will buy and they export to different markets. So you see, there is a production driven process. The raw material, then you convert into something, then that converted item you use to make a production. Maybe smooth rubber. Smooth rubber will be used by the shoemaker. Then shoemaker shoes will be exported by another guy. So you will see a production driven what do you call this particular thing. Then when you produce the rubber sheets will be used by industry to as bush. එතන මේ bush ගන්න පුළුවන් tables වලට chairs වලට KK වල mechanic nuts වලට so you may produce bushes, so you use the bush to produce some other product. So thereby you see that on time delivery is much more important where your production is based on not demand driven, your production is production driven කියලා කියන්නේ අපේ අමුද්‍රව්‍යයක් අපේ නිමේවමක් තව කර්මාන්තයකට යොදවන. ඒකේ නිමේවම තව එකකට යොදවනවා. එතකොට අර value addition එක what happen is value addition is much more, but in Sri Lanka I think we don't have more that kind of production driven businesses, but we have only the demand driven. But if you go to develop industrialized or new emerge economies like developed Japan, if you go to Japan, I think they have production driven nice industry system. Their delivery on time, I think this delivery on time came from the Japanese concept. Even machine downtime, even these non-financial measures, they heavily influence on this academic knowledge. Anyway, Then the problem with non-financial performance measures. So you will see now we are measuring performance not from rupees, but from different perspective of your business organizations. You may measure the performance your customers' perspective. You may measure the performance from a production operation perspective. Maybe you may measure the performance from productivity perspective. You measure the performance from laborers, employees perspective, where you count accident reports, and also you look at the performance from employees perspective, multi-stream, and also you look at the day-to-day operations perspective, where machine downs, delivery on time, etc. Not only rupees. So what I'm trying to do is tell you is that whatever the method you use, whatever the techniques, whether it is financial or non-financial, your target is to control the employees. Your target is to monitor the employees, continuously monitoring. Your target is to make visible employees' workload, how they work, to make visible their behavior in the workplace. That is the purpose of, that's called surveillance. So make it visible. Even though you are not now, when you think traditional time, we were behind the employees. If you go to the Taylorism, the back history, I think supervisor was behind the employees with the අපි කියන්නේ කෝට්ටක් එක. නේ? Now I don't think in the present structure, example this under the neoliberalism, the multinational companies and a group of companies, owners and board of directors are behind the employees. So they work how? They work because they are our apparatus, our tools. One tool is to control employees' performance measurements. What we discussed, we have both financial, we have non-financial. I think you got the point. Okay, then we will come to this one. The problem with non-financial performance measures. The problem, but you have to remember, whatever the method, there are no perfect method. Any method has its own weaknesses. Any person has his own weaknesses. Any machine has its own weaknesses. Any assets has its own weaknesses. There are no perfect thing in this world. Always subject to improvement. Anything in this world always subject to improvement. That is the role of the human being. The role of the human being is to improve that, address that gap. That's why we carry out learning activities. That's why we universities are educating people. That's why government is educating people. So to identify these weaknesses and propose new methods, new way of doing. So thereby, whether it is, we understood there are weaknesses in non-financial measurements. Now we say that instead of financial measurements, there is another way of measuring that is called contemporary performance measurements. You measure this and this: customer satisfaction, downtime, delivery time, breakdown, etc. Now, even for those contemporary non-financial measures, there are weaknesses. We will discuss those. Problem with non-financial performance measures: wide choice of non-financial measures available. Of course, you will get huge number of measures, non-financial measures. Development can be ad hoc and undirected. It's ad hoc. Customer satisfaction, how to define customer satisfaction. You see, how to define those non-financial. Very difficult to the objectivity is very low in non-financial measures. What is important? Subjectivity is there. Subjectivity. Now there are two concepts in this world: subjectivity and objectivity. Subjective measurements and objective measurements. Now when you ask 1 kilogram of sugar, when you ask 1 kilogram of sugar, that is a objective measurement. You measure it, you weigh it, 1 kg should be there. You ask someone else to take this and measure it, then it has to be 1 kg. So whether we measure it or not, whether you measure it, you have to understand what has happened to us. So what I'm trying to tell you is that under neoliberalism, we are governed. Concept of power. The power is hidden,
Yes, yes.
and we ourselves, individual,
Yes,
we have forgotten the human aspect, and always we go for much more subjective judgment. So what I want to communicate to you is that if you focus on more non-financial performance measurements, we are more to it. We are moving towards from objective judgment to subjective judgment. When you say sales, your loan amount, all these cash balances, all are objective judgment. My current account balance in your bank is an objective judgment, objective evidence. So when you are allocating loans, giving loans, you may have certain objective judgments, but in addition to that, you may use subjective judgment also. You may ask my salary. The salary is of course an objective judgment, objective evidence. If you are focusing to give loans to me, whether to give a loan or not, if you focus on my salary, it's an objective judgment you are making. But if you consider other factors, I am a lecturer, he can earn, he has the knowledge, something like that. If you focus on other aspects, other qualitative variables, you consider subjective judgment also. Are you clear? So thereby, non-financial measures are more towards subjective judgment. So thereby, they are ad hoc. Ad hoc means different people define same thing in different way. Okay. Managers, I think one thing I would like to share with you. Very recently, I got a no, not a, yes, wait. Can you see this screen now, my email?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes.
Just read it. The
Yes.
Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, expression of interest. They are asking experts, creative writer, content developer to develop a non-financial reporting framework. You got my point? Now they are trying to develop a framework for non-financial measurements. Here the reporting means, of course, when you reporting means performance. Suppose your boss is asked you to report the monthly progress. So you are reporting the monthly progress. That means you are reporting the performance. So wherever the word reporting, you are talking about the performance. Maybe you report the performance in descriptive by writing a paragraph. Now, for PhD student and other students, the master students, they give the performance by, progress by writing. You got my point. So thereby now what they are trying to do is by preparing such a framework, non-financial reporting framework, they are going to prepare it. They are looking at consultants. When they prepare such a framework, what they are trying to do is that subjective judgment, they are trying to convert into objective judgment. They are giving framework. This is how we are going to measure. These are the guidelines. These are the definition. You got my point? So thereby, what I want to highlight with you is that the arbitrary story. So by creating frameworks, by creating guidelines, by creating circulars, by instructing people, all those are really guideline to make your subjective judgment towards the objective judgment. Again, it's a kind of way of controlling people. Huh? All these circulars, framework, guidelines, instruction, advisors, all these text communications, form of communications are controlling mechanism. Manager must necessarily make trade-off between achieving some measurements and not others. There is no trade-off. Some are creative, some are less creative. So very difficult to have the trade-off. Some measures lack integrity, accuracy of the data, opportunity for manipulation. So not like cash flow. When you take the current account balance, when you take the loan account balance, no one can really manipulate කරන්න බෑ කාටවත්. You see, but your performance in terms of customer satisfaction. Now, for example, you know that the what do you call this SMS competition, the manipulation, no? So thereby certain measurements can manipulate. The accuracy of the data, opportunity for the manipulation. But of course, if there are non-financial measures, what we can do is by introducing the IT system. If you have a very good software system, of course, you can have a very good measurement. And integrating different divisions, of course, will have a very good measurement. Now, when you think about our country, even we measure the GDP per capita, economic growth, income collected, not collected, whatever the data, you see that data not accurate, data not reliable. Even though central bank publish their data, I don't think those are reliable. Why? Because our economy is not an integrated one. Institutions in our country, in our society, not integrated. By using IT system. Now, even if you take the COVID situation, we don't have a very good IT system. So thereby, data, there is a possibility of manipulating those who are having power, the data. So thereby, what I want to communicate to you is that if you have a very good IT system, well-developed IT system with a high capacity of servers, I think, well, if such system is there, we can easily govern the population. Now the issue is, in our country, since our IT system is weak, since our ID card is not linked to all the institutions, you see, government state is in a difficult situation to control the people. Governing people is challenging in Sri Lanka because of problem of the integrated system. I hope that you got my point. So thereby, very easy to govern. Now, if you think about this Google, the Uber, all this data, you see, they are controlling. They have data. There are data. If CA agents want to find out what I am doing and what has done, they can find out, of course. So that much of data is powerful in neoliberalism. But if there are no systems, it's a problem. But anyway, some measures are not easily translated into financial outcomes. There are certain outcomes, of course, very difficult to measure the into financial terms or the quantify. But when you take the education even, so education even it's difficult to quantify. Our traditional system, but we didn't think about modifying it. But still, we talk about Panti Palavenya. Based on 3-hour paper, 2-hour paper, wherever, even universities, no. So you see, when you try to introduce other methods, so the reliability issue is coming. So we have to manage anyway. But so you can understand, even though these non-financial measurements are really helping us to measure the performance from different perspective, that is true. But it has those measurements has its or their own weaknesses. So I think we have discussed 5 weaknesses. Wide choice, adopt, trade-off issue, integrity issue, and very difficult to translate certain things to quantification of financial things. Is it clear? That is about performance measurements, contemporary performance. So what I want to communicate to you is that we were under this. We discussed the purposes of performance measurements. We discussed the conventional performance measurements. We discussed the contemporary performance measurements. We discussed the non-financial measurements for control operations and its weaknesses. Are you clear? Example for non-financial measurements, what are those? Customer satisfaction, number of breakdowns, you see, accident report, stock status, all these are. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to discuss strategic measures, measurement systems. Okay. Strategic performance measurement system. Now, I did my PhD in performance measurement system. So it was my research site was Sri Lanka Water Board. So I used one sociology theory to understand the performance measurement in Sri Lankan Water Board. When you go to that organization, strategic level, key performance indicator, one of the key indicators is that non-revenue water. Most of the decisions taken in the water board, I would say centrality of the decision making process, one criteria is non-revenue water. They get funding for non-revenue water. There are a lot of research, going on non-revenue water. There are projects going on to reduce the non-revenue water. So thereby, I hope that their strategic direction is non-revenue water. Non-revenue water. What is non-revenue water? What do you mean non-revenue water? Non-revenue water means you produce the water, but no billing. No billing. That is the non-revenue water. Rapi. පොඩි කාලේ අම්මයි ගෙදරින් ඉන්නකොට ගෙදර හදනකොට හොරා කන්නවා වගේ බඩු හදනවා නමුත් කාපු කෙනෙක් නැහැ. ඒ වගේ. Non-revenue water. So you produce the water and you don't know what happened, no billing. For example, suppose you produce 100 liters. 100 liters produce කරනවා. විකුණන්නේ liters water board එක ඇත්තටම විකුණන්නේ ආසන්න වශයෙන් 134ක් තියෙනවා. එතකොට 66යි විකුණනවා. Do you believe this? When they produce 100 liters, they are only selling 66 liters. Other 34 liters non-revenue. Maybe leakage. Batawali nenne. Colombo city, Colombo area, I think non-revenue rate is much more higher. ඒගොල්ලෝ එක හේතුවක් කියන්නේ පරණ බට සිස්ටම් කියලා. And informal access, unauthorized access. Anyway, so what I want to communicate to is that this the strategic level means we are talking about the top level. The board level, they are talking about those kind of performance in the board meeting. They negotiate with other institutions. ආණ්ඩුවත් එක්ක water board එක කතා කරනකොට මේ non revenue water එක කතා කරනවා. Reports දානකොට funding agencies ඇවිල්ලා හොයන non revenue water කොච්චරද කියලා. That's kind of strategy. That's the level. But when you take your bank level, maybe NPL, non-performing loans, maybe one indicator, one strategic, but that may be even for a branch level indicator as well. But you may talk about different, maybe liquidity performance indicator, customer satisfaction, even overall customer satisfaction, even strategic level. Anyway, but when you look at the strategic level, what is required is you need a helicopter view, not only one way of measuring performance. If you are managing a branch unit, of course you need performance related to that branch. But if you are managing a business top level, what you need is a helicopter view, bird view. Helicopter view, you can see your organization as well as you can see the others, outsiders. That is the helicopter view. When you say the helicopter view, you have the holistic view. So you should have that kind of dashboard, like the dashboard in your car. Car ke dashboard again. So you get everything. So the strategic performance measurement system also should be like that. Then only you can control the people in your organization. For top management, for strategic level, they are not coming and seeing the employees. They are not the behind of the employees. They are in their place. Employees are somewhere else. Branches are somewhere else. So they need to control the employees. They need to govern the people. They need to govern branch managers. They need to govern the strategic unit, different level employees, maybe supervisors, maybe managers. So thereby they should have a very good, strong, perfect, comprehensive looking dashboard. That's what we are talking about under strategic performance measurement system. Are you clear what I am telling? This is, of course, translate strategy into an integrated set of financial and non-financial measures across a range of perspective. So thereby, as I told you, strategic level, you need a balance. You need a broader, comprehensive, but summarized form of comprehensive. I don't know whether I am using the correct word. It has to be, I would say not the comprehensive, but it has to be, broader, but summarize a different perspective. Okay. Then example include the balance scorecard, balance performance prison and intangible assets scorecard. In 1980s, with this neoliberalism and the liberalism, what they did was 1980s they highly criticized the financial performance, especially Johnson and Kaplan, a consultant. Kaplan, they criticized the profit figure, and they really argue that performance measurement the traditional way of measuring performance not enough for strategic level. So thereby the scorecard should have a different perspective. With this argument, the academics, researchers, consultants develop different models. There are COVID කාලේ ආවහම vaccinate different විදියට ආවා වගේම ඔබට මතක ඇති මේ panic ජාතිත් ආවා. ඒවා non scientific ක්‍රම ආවා. එතකොට 1980 ගණන් වල මේ financial measurements එක criticize කරාම ඒ කාලේ හිටිය විද්වතුන් නොයෙකුත් models ගෙනාවා. ඒවට උදාහරණ තමයි balance scorecard, performance prism, intangible assets scorecard. අර vaccine හතරක් පහක් තියෙනවා වගේ නේද? That is the idea. හැබැයි දැන් vaccine වලින් ප්‍රචලිත වෙන්නේ මොනවද? කාගේ vaccine? බලය තියෙන එක්කෙනාගේ. Those who having more power over Sri Lanka will get they will be able to distribute the vaccines. Likewise, even here, politics is there. Balance scorecard was much more popular because of the Kaplans, the politics and his power as a consultant. එතකොට ලෝකේ හැමෝම balance scorecard ගැන කතා කරන්න ගත්තා. අද ඒවා එච්චර බලවත් වුණ නැති නිසා ඒවා එච්චර මාකට් කරගන්න බැහැ. That's the idea. But performance prism also kind of a strategic level indicator. Even intangible asset scorecard is also kind of a balance scorecard approach. But what is popular is balance scorecard. So we also discuss most of the textbooks, of course, describe balance scorecard. But if you want to study others, academic research papers, you have to look at to study these things. But I don't think in this class I will be discussing this. But I just gave you the reason why balance scorecard is more popular. All provide the potential to identify cause and effect relationship between a variety of measures and the financial performance of the obligation and its strategies. So here we talk about the cause-effect relationships and varieties measures we are trying. Shall we have a small break? 3:09, we'll meet 3:20. Measuring performance with the balance scorecard we will discuss. I hope that all we are going to start. Kalinga, can you start? No problem. I hope you can start. We were discussing about the strategic performance measurement system. Of course, and measuring performance in the balance scorecard. Now we are going to discuss. Balance scorecard is kind of a performance measurement system which has really used four perspectives, Kaplan and Norton model. These are the two people who really promote and introduce this model. Four perspectives are there: financial perspective, customer perspective, internal business process perspective, and learning and growth perspective. So you are looking at the performance from customer financial perspective. You are looking at the performance from customer perspective. You are looking at the performance from internal business process perspective. That is how the degree of efficient your operation. For example, if you are running the bank without ATM, traditional technology, you see that you are inefficient. If you run your business with ATM and with deposit machines and with fund transfer, different applications, you are more efficient your operation. But if you can, now I know that most of the banks, of course, they have only the fund transfer and deposit module being computerized, but no one has I can't say no one, but I don't know, but there is a problem in computerizing your lending part. Can I get a loan by being in this my lecture room, right? Without going to the bank. But I can transfer my money, I can send my money, I can do many things with my bank account balances. But a loan, if I can take a loan in the traditional banking system, I think it's not possible. So internal business process perspective means we are trying to look at the efficiency of your operation. Now, if you look at the Sri Lankan Water Board efficiency, I told you that there is a big issue in the efficiency. Internal business process, non-revenue water is one issue. Other issue is that they are taking water not without making any payment. That is the only organization in Sri Lanka getting inputs freely. වතුරට කවුරුවත් ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ. They get the water very freely. නේද? But what they do is they do the process. They clean the water. They convert the water into drinkable water and send the water through pipe. That is the access that has given the power for them to produce drinking water through pipe. That proposal, that development project came because of this waterborne disease at that time, I think of course 1960 වගේ කාලේ waterborne diseases ආව මැලේරියා වගේ වට උත්තරයක් ඇටියට තමයි මේ waterborne එක ඇත්තට waterborne එක නෙවෙයි කාලේ අතිකල ආයතනය වතුර වලින් බට වලින් වතුර දෙන්න ඒක තමයි ආවේ. But what I am trying to tell you is that now if you take water, the highest segment, highest degree of usage is for what? In your home, tap water. Not for drinking. But remember, the product you get through this water board pipe, drinkable, drinking water. But we are using the drinking water for cleaning purposes. You see the mismatch. So you incur heavy cost on processing. And with this high clean water you use for cleaning purposes. So there is a mismatch. So what will happen to the water bill? So there are issues, but what I want to communicate to you is that internal business processes, there are internal business processes issues. So as human being managers, we need to develop our internal business process by improving the processes. But the RAMIS, Sri Lanka Inland Revenue System, the Inland Revenue Department has now a new system called RAMIS. So they thought of by introducing IT system, they will be able to, the Inland Revenue Department will be able to, increase the efficiency. But it didn't work out. Even you introduce IT system. So thereby, to improve the internal business processes, it is not only the IT, it is with people, right attitudes, right systems, right leadership, all things has to be combined, mix. අර හොද්දක් හදන්න වගේද IT ගෙනෙත් දැම්මයි කියලා සාර්ථක වෙන්නේ. So that is the internal business. Learning and growth perspective means, I think you can understand financial perspective, customer perspective. Learning and growth means basically we consider whether our human resources continuously improve. Under neoliberalism, you have to understand one more thing. Under neoliberalism, earlier the Marx told that Marx is talking about selling, exchanging human labor. Marx කතා කරේ labor capital labor එක අපි විකුණන්න ඩක්රියට. තේවත්තට තේ plantation එකට අපි labor වික්කා. තව factory එකට labor වික්කා. garment factory එකට අපි labor විකුණනවා. But when you look at this learning and growth, that is little different. Learning and growth, to have the learning growth, we need to continuously invest on labor. We need to continuously invest on our human resources. That's why multinationals and big firms, big companies, training programs, workshops, customer service, positive attitudes programs, and allowing people to go and participate in different workshops. So likewise, they are allowing. So that is the content learning and growth. So by learning and growth, what we expect is so in certain cases, you see in organizations you have quality circles. If you go to the factories like Korean and Indian, Japanese-based companies, you go to even garment factories. There you have the quality. Whatever the factories you go to this pre-soon area, if ownership is to those countries, I think they implement quality circles. Quality circles means early in the morning they are discussing the factory problems, flow level problems, machine problem, and they discuss the solution, and they discuss the issue and they propose solutions and ask management to please give these resources to solve this problem. Quality circle is something like that. So that is learning and growth. So by learning and growth, you can introduce new methods, new way of doing, new way of performing, new way of producing, new products, new services, new systems, etc. I think you got the meaning of both for perspective, financial perspective, customer, internal business process, learning and growth. We will have a small brief look at or the understanding each of them. Financial, reflect perspective of the shareholder, summarize the financial outcome of decisions. You see ROI we discussed, return on investment, cash flow measures, shareholder value measures we discussed. Cash flow measurements means from what type of sources you are getting cash flows. That is important. But if you take in our government, Sri Lankan government, we have a cash flow problem. Not only the rupee cash flow problem, but also a dollar cash flow problem we have. So our income is not as we expected. Our expenses are much more. So thereby you have a budget deficit. That is the internal cash outflow. But if you look at our balance of payments, the accounts of transaction with the external world, export, import, and the transactions, this thing, I think that's also not good cash flow. So thereby, when cash flows are not healthy, when you have a negative cash flow, of course you have to go for that is the issue. If your cash flows are negative, income and expenses cash flow is negative, of course you have to go for borrowing. There is no option. That's what we have been doing. We have been doing last 73 or 74 years. So we are just we don't have enough. Now the problem is we have taken loan, the other cash flow. So when you look at the debt also, that's a source of cash flow. But that cash flow is not that source is not a healthy one. So thereby as financial perspective, I appreciate if you can switch off the mic. The thing is that cash flow is a very crucial measurement for your business success. Even when you are lending, I think when you lend, when you are trying to give a loan to a customer, you have to look at that's why you are asking the income. You look at the expenses. You ask the number of dependent in the family. So you do certain calculation and you see whether there is enough cash flow to make the loan installment. That's your logic. You talk about the cash flow. You look at the financial aspect when you evaluate the financial feasibility when you are granting a loan to a particular customer. The customer perspective is another aspect, measures the company's success in achieving customers' value. So we deliver the customer expectation. Outcome measure includes customer profitability, market share, number of new customers. The customer profitability means we calculate the customer profitability for segment wise. You may calculate the customer. Suppose there are three types of products. If there are three products, you calculate the profitability of three products. But your financial statement is only for your financial statement is only for aggregate. You talk about the bank profit, but you are not talking about the profit you earn lending. You are not talking about the profit you earn by providing, service, that is the commission. But you have a line item interest income and commission income. But we don't know the net cash flow, net profit of interest. That means by doing lending business, what is your profit? By providing other professional banking services, what is the profit? So that is the customer profitability. Customer profitability analysis means you are trying to calculate the profitability product wise or market wise or group product wise. That's the customer. But for that you should have the data. Otherwise you can't calculate the customer profitability. Suppose you are selling Tambili Vikuno, so what do you call this? There are two products. So how you can calculate the profit as a whole, but you can calculate the profit for Kinkokaran, Tambili, and you can calculate the profit for Bulatfidi. Even by customer profitability analysis. Likewise, if there are 5 products in bank, if you can identify the cost in relation to these 5 products and income related to these 5 products, of course you can calculate the profit for customer profitability. So to calculate the customer profitability, your database, your system has to be flexible. It's a new concept. Then the market share. Market share means from the total market, what is your portion? Like when you, it's something like when you brought a cake for home, what is your portion? That is your share. So thereby what we do, calculate the total sales. You have to find out the total sales in the industry. Suppose gas market, there are 2 players. So you can take the total gas number of sales, rupee value in terms of sales, and suppose it is the one gas company sales, so the one gas company sales you divide by the total industry sales, you get your market share. So market share is your sales divided by the industry sales. Now, for example, if you want to calculate the deposit market share or the bank in the bank, what is your portion? What you can do is you find out all commercial banks. You get the total interest income. You can get the total interest income. How all the annual reports. Suppose 2020. Just look at the income statement. Add all these banks. If there are 10 commercial bank or 12, whatever the annual reports you get the total interest. Okay. So you have the 10 banks total interest, and you have your bank interest. So your bank interest divided by the total bank interest will get the market share. Or if you want to get bank as the market share, you get the total income of your bank. That is, I think, interest income, commission income, and other income. All those 3 items or 4 items just get, and get the total of all banks, and divide. You get your bank income, and your bank income divided by the total banking industry, commercial bank. You get your share. That's how you get the market share. The number of new customers, what is the number of new accounts open, deposits, and lending. Likewise, you may calculate number of customers from based on different product or in general, right? But hire the customer, when you get more customers, that's important. But remember, getting new customer is not only the matter, but you have to remember, you have to keep your existing customers. But what you have to do is, while keeping your existing customers, you have to attract new customers. That's the logic. Lead indicators include non-time on-time delivery, numbers of defects are customer service. So on-time delivery, number of defects, etc. ඔබට මතකයි සමහර මෝටර රථ වල මොඩල්ස් අවුට් වෙලා ඒවා අවුල් වෙලා ඔක්කොම මිනිස්සු බාර දුන්නා. ඒවා number of defects. It has a huge impact on the market. Even this gas, recent gas shortage, the laugh, I think they had a big impact on their business. Even though they try to increase the selling price by making an artificial market, by manipulation of the market, but the thing is, you know that the shifting is not easy. If you have the yellow laugh gas, it's easy. It's not easy, but if you suppose you are a customer of Keel Super, but you can easily transfer to the some other supermarket channel, no? But when you are a laugh gas user, I think shifting is, it takes more time. It's difficult. So that advantage they got. They understood the nature of the customers. They understood the nature of the customer shifting, and they created artificial things, and finally the burden again passed to the customers. It's like a normal strike, like teachers. No difference. But we see that the strikes are the strike, but I don't see that such a campaign, and there is no difference. But teachers' strike is for something else, but this strike is for something else. Okay, anyway. Measuring performance with balanced scorecard, other one is internal business process. You see, objective relates to specific processes that contribute to customer and financial objectives. You see, as I told you, it's talking, try to improve your internal process. Try to eliminate non-value adding activities. Now suppose in your bank counter, if system is slow, you use the system to take the deposits, customer to make the withdrawal, whatever. You use the system. If the system is slowing, if the system is not fast, so you see your system is not performing, inefficient. Customers are in queue. එතකොට customer ට queue එකේ වැඩිපුර වෙලා ඉන්න වෙනවා. You will get the pressure, because when more customers are in the queue, the frontline staff will get stress. ඔයාලා බලන්න නැතුව වැඩ කරාට customers ලා queue එකේ ඉන්නකොට ලොකු queue එකක් තියෙනකොට මම හිතන්නේ employee පොඩ්ඩක් stress එකකින් වැඩ කරන්නේ. එතකොට accuracy, lot of issues are there. Customer satisfaction, customer ට key කරවීම, customer satisfaction එක විදිහට කතා කිරීම නැති වෙලා යනවානේ. So those are the matters, simple matters, but have a big impact on business. So the cost, product quality, time-based measures, and new product development. I think you can understand all this. If you have any problem, you communicate to me. I can explain if you have any. These are the kind of measurements. You can measure the cost. You can measure the product quality. You can measure the time-based, time taken to clear one customer. Time taken to accept a withdrawal, time taken to accept a deposit, time taken to accept bill payment, electricity, water bill, so those are very important matters. එතකොට අපි හිතනවා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කවුන්ටර් එකේ කරන කස්ටමර් කෙනෙක් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට හැන්ඩල් කරන්න පුළුවන් විනාඩි 4ක් යනවායි කියලා. If we assume that 4 minutes will take normally to handle a customer who is coming to the bank, your counter, front line එකට එන කෙනෙකුට 4 minutes යනවනම් එතකොට 4 minutes යනවනම් අපි හිතමු පැය 8ක් වැඩ කරනවා නම් නේද? මෙදී පැය 8ක් වැඩ කරනවා නම් විනාඩි 80යි වැඩ කරන්නේ ආයතනේ. මේ කන්න බොන්න මුකුත් නැතුව විනාඩි 80යි වැඩ කරන්නේ. එතකොට customer කෙනෙක් handle කරන්න විනාඩි 4ක් යනවා නම් what you can do is you can handle only this kind of customers. නේද? එතකොට අපිට handle කරන්න පුළුවන් customer 120ක්. එතකොට front counter එකේ ඉන්නේ customers ඉස්සරහා counter එකේ ඉන්නේ දෙන්නයි නම් ඒගොල්ලන්ට handle කරන්න පුළුවන් 240යි. 240 යනවනම් 4 minutes යනවනම් 4 minutes යනවනම් විනාඩි 80යි වැඩ කරන්නේ. එතකොට customer කෙනෙක් handle කරන්න විනාඩි 4ක් යනවා නම් what you can do is you can handle only this kind of customers. නේද? එතකොට අපිට handle කරන්න පුළුවන් customer 120ක්. එතන බැංක් එකට කස්ටමර්ස් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් එන බව තේරෙනවා නම් 400ක්. You will see that there is a big issue. Manager has to take this matter seriously. Either to add one more extra counter or improve the system. එන කට්ටියම් භාගයක් කරවලා යවනවා මේ එහා පැත්තේ ඩිපොසිට් එකෙන් ගන්න කියලා මොකක්ද. So you encourage, I don't know, banking practices, but you have to reduce you have to have some way of improving your performance, your process. That's the meaning of internal business perspective. I think you got the point. So the learning and growth one focus on the capabilities of the organization to achieve superior internal processes that create both customer and shareholder value. You know, your capabilities of the organization. That means that you are trying to increase the capacity. Capacity increase කරන්න නම් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම අපි බලන්න මේකේ බැලුවේ ඇත්තටම system වල improve වලින් capacity වැඩි කරන්න. මේකෙදි බලන්නේ human resource එකේ capacity එක වැඩි කරන්න. එතකොට මිනිස්සුන්ට employees ලාට වෙනදට වඩා හිතන්න පුළුවන් නම් වෙනද වෙලාවට creative නම් ඒක capacity එක වැඩි. Like introducing additional machine, like introducing a new software system. If you can develop the employees, their thinking, their way of looking at the business, their way of understanding the customer, their way of understanding the supplier, their way of understanding the existing machines and technologies, if you can improve, in general, if they can see the world in a different way, of course you are improving the employees, you are increasing the capacity of your employees. That is called that is the purpose of learning and growth. But there are different strategies you use to improve this learning and growth in different organizations. Even rotation of jobs. මේ මාස 6ක් 8ක් මේකේ ඉඳලා ඒක control purpose එකට වෙන්න පුළුවන්. But not only the controlling purpose, but also to train the employees, to enhance their knowledge. Also, they do the transferring and rotations. Deliver long-term growth improvements and measure focus on employee capabilities, information system, organization primates. All these are the indicators of financial, sales mix, cost per product. You see return on equity, economic at product profitability, etc. There are lag indicators and lead indicators. There are two types of indicators, of course. So the lag indicators basically, focus on, overall. Lead indicators, of course, focus on, number of cost per product, etc. Lead indicators, of course, it talks about a particular, time, maybe a particular this thing. Okay. Number of new customers, number of customers trained, number of products. Likewise, you can have different. I think better you can read this rather than reading. Then the strategy map, of course. Visual representation that explain the, it's a kind of strategy map. ඒක බෝඩ් එකේ අපි එක්ස්ට්‍රීම් එකේ දානවා අපි රැස්වීමේ තියෙනවනේ අපි දානවා කෙලින්ම ස්ක්‍රීන් එකේ මෙන්න අපේ performance කියලා strategy map එක ඒකයි ඉන්නේ. A visual representation that explain the cause and effect relationship, linking the objectives of the four perspective on the BS balance scorecard, BSc and balance scorecard, the organization objectives. They also identify linkage between lag and lead measures, a tool to communicate to managers the component of the strategy and the process that we keep. Here, you see, this is the map. But this thing of producing this kind of thing is not easy. You have to have a discussion, a lot of training, etc. You see the learning growth, financial, internal business and customer perspective. You see that learning and growth, the employees, that's why most of the CEOs, most of the company CEOs are telling that my greatest assets are my employees. Take my machines, take my technology away, but leave my employees with me. Give my employees me. My CEOs like Why they are telling that? Because that much worth employees. So that's why here the bottom employees improve employee satisfaction, develop employee skill, develop innovative. So all these contribute to improve the internal business processes, and also this will improve to customer satisfaction. Okay, when you have a very good system, improve quality, facilities, again customer satisfaction. දැන් අර මම කිව්වාගේ front line එකේ ඉන්න කෙනාගේ machine එක slow නම් machine එක කැරක් කැරකී තියෙනවා නම් you can't give a very good service to the customers. But if you go to the Kiel supermarket channel, you see the very quick billing, very quick billing, very quick billing, something like that. So the customer satisfaction, improve productivity. So all these, you see, all these three variables. What are three variables? Learning and growth, internal business perspective, customer satisfaction, all will contribute to financial success or the financial benefits, or to increase the profit, to increase the cash flow, to increase the profitability, to increase the ROI, something like that. Lead indicates monitor progress towards the organization objectives and difficult to monitor directly. Summary of financial measures, market share, customers. Lag indicates measures that drive the customer and provide information that is actionable and manageable, relate to the process activities of the business, improvement in the sense measures should over time and flow. So lag indicates, now lag means it's a kind of a question. Validation is GDP is a lag indicator. Return on equity. But cost per product lag lead cost per product is having a meaningful. Now, for example, as I told you, this information, bank එක employee කෙනෙකුට satisfy කරන්න පුළුවන් 120යි කිව්වට පස්සේ ඒක lead එකක්. ඒතර මේක විශ්ලේෂණය කරලා action ගන්න පුළුවන්. අපි ගත්ත action එකනේ. අපි වැළුවා දැන් උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් සේවකෙක් විනාඩි 480ක් වැඩ කරනවා. එයාට කස්ටමර් කෙනෙක් සර්ව් කරන්න විනාඩි 4ක් යනවා නම් කස්ටමර්ස්ලා 120යි යාට සර්ව් කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට බැංක් එකට කස්ටමර්ස්ලා 120ක් ආවොත් එක කෙනෙක් එක ෆ්‍රන්ට් ඔෆිසර් කෙනෙක් ඇති. හැබැයි බැංක් එකට කස්ටමර්ස්ලා 200ක් එනවා නම් so you have to have action. That is the meaning of lead. I think you got the point. Lead. And lead improve in the measurement should over time and this thing. Okay. Does not financial performance lead to financial? Does non-financial performance lead to financial performance? Of course, we understood that non-financial performance improvement will lead to financial performance. It's very clear. There's no argument. When you improve internal business, when you improve your employees, when you improve your customer satisfaction, of course, your financial performance will be higher. Okay. This is like a pyramid chart. We call it Diploma case. We discuss ROI, profit, invested capital, revenue, cost, something like that. Then, of course, lag and lead indicators will link to the revenue. Here, these are linked to the cost. For example, number of customers directly linked with revenue. If you have more customers, more revenue. If you have less customers, less revenue. Now, for example, nowadays, hotel, no foreigners, low income. No income. More foreigners, for hotel, more income. You see, major customers as revenue and there are major customers do not. Major customers loss when revenue average selling price will have an impact on revenue. Number of customer calls. Number of customer calls, your revenue is getting up, no? There is a link, but it's a key information performance driver, lead indicator. Number of customers, promotions, product quality, on time delivery. Likewise, you can think about the DuPont Yes, but this viewpoint, this model will be discussed in details when we discuss the ratio analysis, but not part, not this qualitative part, but these financial indicators. Again, we will discuss on the ratio analysis viewpoint chart, but I'm not going to take that lecture. Another lecture from University of Rohana will take up that lecture. Okay, benchmarking, a process of comparing the product. So now the balance scorecard is over. Now we are talking about benchmark. Benchmarking also another kind of neoliberalism agenda. A process of comparing the product functions and activities in an organization against external business, identifying key areas. The benchmarking කරන්න අපි දැන් උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් if you have children, so you benchmark your teacher with the best teacher in the school. You benchmark the best class in the school with your class. දැන් අතරම තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ මේකනේ. දැන් කට්ටිය උත්සාහ කරනවා ළමයා හොඳ ඉස්කෝලේ එකට දාගන්න. දැම්මට පස්සේ ඊළඟ ටැලන්ට් එක තමයි හොඳ ක්ලාස් එක ගන්න. හොඳම ටීචර් ඉන්න පන්තිය තමයි ඊළඟට දාන්න. හොඳම ගුරුවරු. So you are benchmarking. So you have a particular schools, these are good schools, benchmark. Likewise, when you do the business, you have to have a benchmark. Benchmark what we do is we are not when you do the benchmark for business purposes, not for your personal life. Business purposes, you select the best in the world. No need to he or she or the business particular company should come from your business. Even outside business area, you may select the best. Suppose you are going to benchmark your frontline service. So you may select the best company in the world, maybe a good airline company, how they treat customer, how they interact with the customer, what program they implement, what procedures they follow. So you learn and try to copy them in your business organization. That's called benchmarking. So what are the steps of benchmark? Identify the functions of the and select the benchmarking partner. You have to select one. So අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලා බලන්න benchmark කරන්නේ මොකක්ද? Either your lending part or deposit part or service part or frontline or back office. What kind of area or factory in factory, what areas you are going to, either cutting division you are going to make benchmark. So you have to select the area, activity, function. Then select the best one. How එකද අපි benchmark කරන්නේ? So you have to find out a partner to benchmark, and you have to collect. You have to go there and you have to study how that particular company is performing that particular activity, and you have to establish goals. පළවෙනි අවුරුදු, දෙවෙනි අවුරුදු, තුන්වෙනි අවුරුදු අපි මේක. දැන් උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් ඔබට පේනවා ඇති රසායනික පොහොර වලට මොකක්ද අපේ benchmark එක? No benchmark. එකපාරටම අපි නැති කරා. So very difficult to achieve. Very difficult to practice such a thing. So benchmark is the kind of things you are trying to improve your processes. You are trying to improve your process business, but not quickly, step by step. Year and year, කොටස තමයි you are improving. That's the benchmark, but you should have a benchmark partner, then implementation of the plan. Forms of there are different kind of benchmark. Internal benchmark කියලා කියන්නේ අපි එළිය ගැන කවුරුත් හිතන්නේ අපි ඇතුළේ ගැන හිතනවා. සමහරවිට කියන්නේ ලොකු පුතා වගේ වෙන්න ඔයත් පුතේ කියන ළමයි. Internal benchmark. You just focus on your business, your organization. Competitive benchmark. So you are selecting a competitor. Industry එකකින් කවුරු හරි අරගෙන බලන්න. දැන් අපි බලනවා People's Bank බලනවා සම්පත් බැංක් එක benchmark කරා. Compare. That is the competitive benchmarking. Industry benchmarking. Industry benchmarking means also against the companies that have similar interests and technologies within that industry. So similar the best in class processing benchmarking, and there's no limit. You find out the best in the world, whatever the industry, and you do the benchmark. Benchmarking against the competitor's cost structure. Of course, here we are talking about the benchmarking against the competitor's cost structure. Cost can be inferred by using the product publicly available information such as sales, volume, market share, product mix. If a competitor ke product cost එක හොයලා බලනවා ඒ product එක හදන්න කීයක් යනවාද කියලා. Industry sponsored database වලින් ගන්න පුළුවන්. Stock brokering firm වලින් specialist benchmarking consulting firms may provide data. So that is how you collect the data. Competitors sources. Warning signs of inadequate performance measurements. How does the firm know when its performance measurement system is inadequate? Performance is acceptable in all dimensions. Customer do not buy product. Managers are not concerned when performance reports are supported. Significant time spent. Measured have not changed for some time and business strategy has changed. So, මේ අපේ performance inadequate කියලා අපිට තේරෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ indicators වලින් අපේ profit එක අපි හිතපු විදියට නෙවෙයි තියෙන්නේ අපේ sales බැහැලා our products are not buying customers අර stock out එක මම කිය stock status එක slow moving stocks managers are not concerned when performing reports significance debate meaning of measures. Again, අපි වෙනස් වෙලා නැහැ කාලයකට this කාලයකට පස්සේ දැන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා water board එක ගත්තොත් එදා ඉඳන් තියෙන measurements ටිකම තමයි තියෙන්නේ. So how can you? So that means your performance are not good now. And also non-revenue water is not a very good measurement. Neither. What I told them was you reduce the cost of processing. Water හදන්න යන පිරිවැඩු කරන්න. එතකොට වතුර නැතුණාට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ නේ මගදී. Now your cost of producing water is very high, you worry. The first thing what you have to do is you correct your input. But engineers challenge me, lot of arguments. Anyway, the business strategy has changed. ආයතනයේ වෙනසක් වෙලා තියෙනවා. අනිවාර්යෙන් performance. If you go to the inland revenue, now they are introducing the RAMIS system, IT system. So they can't talk about the earlier measurements. Now they talk about work item. Alut technology ka, alut wachana ටිකක් යනවා ආයතන. So new measurements will replace when you change the organization structure or the system or whatever. Designing an effective performance measurement system linked to strategy and goals. Keep it simple. That means you have to design a very good performance measurement system. Always your measurement should link to the goals strategy, and your measurement should be much more simple. And you should have the controllability. Control will be on that. Emphasize the positive. Should get the support from the employee, and you get it timely. හරියට වෙලාවට මැනගන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා. Design an effective performance measurement system. Relate benchmarking. Embrace your participation is important. Empowering employees is important. Getting support from the employees is very important. Otherwise, you can't implement measurement systems. Include only few performance. You have key indicators, 5 or 6 indicators. That's enough. I know one entrepreneur is running a finance company which is not registered in a central bank, but he get 3 information. He asked the number of files. ණය කච්චද දුන්නාද? අද ණය ෆයිල් කීයක් කරාද? That is the first one. Second one, he is asking what is the cash inflow? කොච්චර collection එක තියෙනවද? Third one, he is asking how many files closed. කොච්චර ෆයිල් අද වැහුණාද? mature වෙලා හරි මොනවා හරි. So every day one employee is sending all these 3 information to him. Again, tamaya සියලුම market data focus කරා. Market එකේ ස්වභාවය මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? So he is not worried about the profit. Only three information: number of loans files granted, facility, number of facilities, total cash collection from installment, the remittance. Then the other one is how many files closed. My file clear. That's all. Okay. Link to rewards. Design measures for continuous improvement. Then continuous improvement can be built into performance measurement system. Continuous improvement is much more important. Another concept, benchmark continuous improvement. Continuous improvement. ඔබට මතක ඇති there's a statement අදට වඩා හෙට හොඳයි කියලා සිංහලෙන් කියවනක් තියෙනවා. Tomorrow is better than today. ඒක තමයි මේ continuous improvement කියලා කියන්නේ. We believe that what we are doing today is not perfect for tomorrow. What we are doing today is not efficient for tomorrow. So thereby, always there is a room for us to improve. That's the meaning of continuous improvement. There is a room for us to always improve. So thereby, yesterday what we did is not applicable to today's context. Today's what we are going to do is not applicable for tomorrow's context. So thereby, we have to continuously change, continuously improve. That is the idea. Then, of course, behavioral implicating for performance. Again, ආයතනයේ වෙනසක් කරන්න ගියාම improve කරන්න ගියාම අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම first thing is resistant to change. Classic example is inland revenue. Even your bank, when even in water board, when they are heard that they are going to, water is going to be privatized, resistance. Even in your bank, certain cases you may sensitive, so then you may resist. Resist කියලා කියන්නේ වෙන්නේ අපේ තියෙන බලය නැති වෙනවා කියලා අප හැංගෙනකොටම අපි resist වෙනවා. ඒක හොඳ වුණත් නරක වුණත් නේ. So you have to manage. Change management is important when you are going to improve the changes to the organization. When you are going to introduce the changes. Changes are most likely to succeed. They are support across the entire organization. You have to get the support from entire organization. It has to be not top down. It has to be a bottom up. සේවකයන්ගෙන් ඉල්ලීම. Like our country. නේද? අපේ රටේ මිනිස්සු කියන්නේ අපිට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. අපි හම්බ කරොත් අපි කනවනේ. That is bottom up approach. එතකොට කවුරු පිස්සු කෙලියත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. That is the neoliberalism mentality. අපි හම්බ කරොත් අපි කනවා. The bottom approach කියලා කියන්නේ අපි මේ විදිහට හදලා තියෙන මිනිස්සු. එතකොට මේ විදිහට හැදුවට පස්සේ so when you get the support from the bottom, very easy to do the changes. New measures should not be seen as an add-on to an inadequate performance measurement system. So with that, we conclude this session also. Basically, we discussed three parts. Of course, I would say 4 parts. I will tell you what are the 4 parts, just to understand, otherwise you will get. There are 4 parts in this session. For me, I am categorizing it 4 parts. One is you talk about the performance. Up to this, I think. Yes, up to this. You talk about the performance. You talk about, purpose of performance, contemporary, conventional, non-financial, strategic, weaknesses of lead and or led, etc. And third, second one, we discussed the benchmarking. That is another concept we discussed. Third one, what we discussed was what is called, which is not, there are continuous improvement, which is lying with this. continuous improvement. So we discussed 3 parts basically. Hope that you understood. And if you have any question, I can really answer. Otherwise, we will wind up the session. If you have any questions, you can I can answer. Today I came to the university, my room, to deliver the lecture, because at home I know that when 4:30, 4:15, there is a connection issue in my home. I don't know why. I observe it. Then, if no question means it is for me to wind up. Again, thank you very much for joining. We will meet next week too.